Okay, we're going to get a little bit more detailed here. So this is one of the longer presentations. You might want to have a coffee ready or take a pause halfway through or something. But that's because we're getting down into the details. I want to discuss, because so many people about it ask, how to think about online and offline for a small and medium business. And then I want to discuss what I call the 3 hits principles of marketing, how you actually get together a plan of thinking about the tactics you should use, yeah? For me, online and offline, this discussion is really kind of a false distinction. The guts of it is to think about your Maria or your Marcus and what kind of levers need to get them to the point of purchase, whether that's an online website or a physical store or whatever. And there'll be awareness tools that are useful. Some will be online like Facebook, some will be a billboard. There'll be interest tools. We'll talk about these sort of things in a minute, like a newspaper article or some information you put in your website. There'll be conversion tools. It's really about thinking about where does Maria find it and what kind of tools are used that will suit her, rather than whether they're online or offline. And it's really useful to mix them up quite often. So don't get too hung up about being an online business or an offline business. Be hung up about thinking about what does it take to get Maria to the point of purchase. Look, ultimately, thinking about online is still about thinking about your Maria or your Marcus. And different kinds of online, it may be appropriate to have slightly different nuances because that's what her expectations are of those particular places. So on your website, you're supposed to be more professional or competent, perhaps, or if you're commenting on a third-party site, she expects you to be more of an expert and so on. If you're on your Facebook page or Instagram, she may feel that you should be more sharing, caring, on-trend, more informal. But still, your core value, your brand ID needs to be central. The style and imagery needs to suit Maria, not just the media. So don't think about the media. Think about Maria. Okay, some of you out there will be social media gurus already, and some of you will be quite scared about the idea of social media. Look, there's many scary terms. In a minute, I'm going to say there's 3 of them that I think you start with before you start anything else. But in general, thinking about social media, there's 5 things that a social media enterprise person should remember and think about. 5 things. Firstly, it's not just having a Facebook page, just like any other media. It's about the content. Does it reflect that good old values and brand ID you want to get across? Is it up to date and relevant? It's all that sort of stuff about what does it look like. So just having one on its own is not enough. And it's an ongoing commitment, because if you look to those Facebook or Instagram pages where everything is 3 years old, it makes your brand and business look like it's out of date and unfashioned. You can't be bothered. And it's much more visual in many kinds of marketing. So the quality of the pictures, the style, the videos that you have on it matter. So you can get away with some of them being a little bit homely and down to earth and things, but you do need some that really look good and reflect well, particularly on the style of your, that reflect your image of your business. And people have to find your lovely pages. So once you're getting into having a Facebook page, you've got to promote it, possibly on other media, through your website, through your other marketing activities to get them there. So it's not just enough to be on a social media platform. And finally, in the old days, if you were a local store, you were just competing with the store down the road. Now you're, in some senses, competing with the world. So again, it's important to be thoughtful and professional about it. And if I had to pick among all those scary terms what you should focus on most, I'd be looking at advice to get search optimization right so that you can drive traffic towards your social media and your websites and so on. So think about how you get found. And the second is I'd be thinking about image curation, about getting good videos and graphics. And thirdly, I'd be thinking about having a plan for ongoing content creation so that someone is responsible every week or every day for putting something new on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever. So Think about those things. And remember, I guess too, that social media isn't just Facebook. So if you're a business-to-business one, Twitter and LinkedIn may be just as important. So think about social media broadly. Okay, well look, I asked you earlier to do a review of all your materials that you've already got. I hope you reviewed your website if you got one, and I think most businesses now probably need a website. If you're a small stallholder or something, you may get away without one, but basically most of us need some website, whether we've created it in a DIY fashion or whether we've done something more complicated. But the key thing, again, is defining it not around what your IT or your graphic designer person tells you to do, but to think first of all about how Maria would use it, how your Maria or Marcus would. Is it a showroom? Is it a supermarket? Is it something that she chooses among lots of alternatives? Does it have a receptionist function where she goes and has to book an appointments? Is it just an advisor where she gets facts? Is it just simply a business card where she can get the contacts that she needs and see what your qualifications are or whatever? So think about these things. Think about which of them is the major purpose for your Maria, because that should dictate how the navigation works, what the content should be, and what should be the pages that you try and get her to look at first. So before you start talking to your graphics guy, your IT guy, think about how Maria is using it in terms of these kinds of things. Look, generally it's obvious that online is becoming increasingly important. I guess my key point is it needs effort and budget, and how much effort and budget, given your limited time, should be related to thinking clearly about Maria, your Marcus, your key customer. If it's really the case that she gets some information, a bit of reassurance and contact and just a few details online, then just, you don't have to be super professional. A more DIY approach may work. You might make your website in Squarespace or WordPress rather than by yourself, rather than getting a professional in to help you or whatever. But you've still got to think about how Maria would navigate it. You've still got to plan for updates to keep it regular and things like that. But if you're seeing that for Maria, online is increasingly how she finds anything out about your business, how she makes key choice decisions about what to buy and everything, then you should start to think about investing in help, particularly with the visual aspects of your business, the look of your videos, search optimization, and staff to respond to anything that happens online. So the investment and effort should ultimately be related to how you see your customer developing. And again, it's really about understanding your customer before you do anything else. Look, I guess here's a simple rule for small and medium enterprises trying to go a bit more online. And that is, look, no one expects you to be like a Pepsi or a L'Oreal or someone like that. You can be less expensive in the style that you use for Facebook, the look of your website and things. You can be less corporate. You can be deliberately perhaps more local, more homely, more down to earth, yeah? But that's not the same as being amateur or careless. You are, in a sense, once you're online competing with the world, it's probably worth it once you decide that your Maria is heavily influenced by online to put a bit of investment into things like imagery and all those other areas. So treat it seriously if you're going to be in it. Okay, so instead of thinking online versus offline when you're creating new marketing initiatives, I want you to think targeted and noticeable. And targeted is meaning, obviously, using media that would be noticed by your key customer. And noticeable means standing out. Now, look, I'm a long-term fan of some of the things done by companies like Red Bull. And, Red Bull has made their fortune by doing crazy stunts and things like that. But they've also been very good in things like social media, and also doing really simple things. It's these sort of things like you see these women doing here with the Red Bull packs and doing sampling around a local market somewhere. And I think that's the sort of things that you need to think about, not about what variety of activity, but trying to get creative about what will be noticed by your Maria or Marcus. And to do that, I think it helps to think about what I call the 3 hits, the way that you bang Maria over the head, metaphorically, several times, and why you need to do that. So we'll talk about that in a second. Well, that's the 3 hits principle. The idea is that metaphorically you have to hit your audience several times. 1 hit gives you awareness, the other interest, but gets them interested, and the other one leads, I hope, to some sort of action. So, at a really simple level, imagine Maria and a friend are looking at this ad that's suddenly come up on their iPad or whatever for a music store. Okay, so the friend says to Maria, "Hey Maria, this looks cool. Didn't you always used to play guitar and say you wanted your son to play guitar too?" So that gets her aware of this new business. Then maybe something else happens. She goes to that company's website or whatever and she reads some articles and stuff about how music makes your child more creative or whatever. That gets her kind of interested. And then the next time she walks by it and she looks inside because she's seen these other things about it, and she looks at the display and it looks like an exciting display of colourful guitars, just the thing that would appeal to her son. She decides, I'll buy him one for his birthday. So it's helpful to think of marketing activity on these 3 levels, yeah? What am I doing to make noise to get her interested and to notice? How do I turn that general interest and awareness into getting them interested? How do I show I'm special? And then how do I make them take an action? What am I doing to give them a reason to buy now? Now, as you're developing marketing materials, if you relate those 3 hits to your 6 content buckets that you've got, things that you're doing that are more about awareness are going to have much more about the feeling, that portrait painting of the brand ID and the core value, and less details. They may also have some things about breaking news and a promo and so on or whatever, but they're going to be simple and noticeable. And then the things that are more trying to get them interested, they can probably need more proofs of values. You know, they'll probably still have to have your brand ID and thing clear, but they're going to have more news, more uniqueness messages in them. And then from your 6 buckets, you're going to draw out and think about what sort of things will help them convert. And they're going to be not so much about the brand ID and value, they'll still be there, but those will have been in the previous messages. More about the specific offer, the exact call to action, how to buy now, how do I physically get this hold of this? So you may need to have more facts and more details in some of that conversion process area. Now, if there's any marketing specialists or any of you done other marketing courses, you'll know right away that this 3 hits idea is simplistic. I'm oversimplifying, I admit that. You've all seen some brilliant ad somewhere from someone that not only makes you aware of the company or the service, but gets you interested at the same time and makes you run for your car or get on the bus or whatever to go and buy the product and use it, or, you know, take your credit card out and purchase right that second. So good marketing can sometimes make those at once. But even if you do it instantaneously, there's still probably part of your message that makes you notice, a hook. It's part of your message that tells you why you should be interested, and a part of your message that says what to do now, a call to action. What I'm telling you most importantly is that you may not need to do these exactly in sequence, but it'll help if you plan to separate them out. It'll help you think creatively if you think at each of these 3 levels. So use the 3 hits idea as a template for marketing activities. It's useful to think about what you could do under each of those headings, and that's what I'm going to get you to do now. I'm going to give you a challenge on each of them. So getting out your pieces of papers and pens and mind mapping materials and sticky notes or whatever you need, however you work best. The challenge is to list at least 3 activities you could do to raise awareness and make your business more noticeable in a way that appeals to Maria. You might make your business more noticeable by painting your business bright yellow, but if you're in a heritage area where bright yellow businesses are thought ugly, and Maria would hate the idea you painted your business yellow and you wouldn't do it. But it can be as simple as that. It could be as simple as painting your shop front yellow. So I want you to have at least one bigger idea, and one you can start soon, quickly and cheaply, maybe the bucket of yellow paint or whatever. Start with stuff for all of these bits with things that require brains and creativity, not money. That's why I'm trying to get you to do this exercise. I want you to use your brains. That's your real advantage as a small business, not your money. So think about where Maria hangs out, what she watches. What is Maria and Marcus doing? Your personas. What is it that they do? If you've got some research data, great. Otherwise, just try and imagine. Traditional mass media is usually expensive, but a good way of generating awareness. So consider them and see if there's any deals. Times are hard and you may get a good deal. It's on radio and TV or newspapers. If you use those ones as a small, medium enterprise business, you need 1 or 2 simple and clear messages, and make sure your delivery is graphic. Social media campaigns, they're great, but as I explained earlier, they take effort. You need a genuine hook and proposition to go viral, and you probably need to combine it with other efforts around other sorts of promotions that you're doing. Look, don't forget old school. Signs, pack design, leaflets, just the way you paint your truck. Having an interesting little truck like this guy here may be a really simple way of getting awareness. And don't forget what I said earlier about word of mouth. It's a really good way to create awareness, giving existing customers and your networks encouragement to refer you and to talk about you is an awareness building strategy. If you can wrap your pitch around providing advice or expertise or something that helps them, that will get talked about. And see if you can generate free PR. If you've got some ideas about events or community activity or things that you can support, that will give you free PR. That's awareness building for your business too. In terms of paid things, whether it's a website, whether it's something you do on social media, whether it's a big sign or a billboard, one of the key rules is if you're going to spend that kind of money, it's a waste of money if it's not noticeable. You have to consider readability, location, colours, and a clear message. And it's got to be focused on your key values. So in this big sign from Florida, you can see there's a visual hook, the big alligator, which is obviously related to the area, and one clear message, which is it's a big pizza. It's a big, big, big pizza. He or she has clearly thought that their value as a business is about making it big. So the sign is colourful, easy to read, and it tells you 2 things. I'm going to get a big pizza, and it shows me where the address is. And it's got a little bit with the logo, in case I know them and I recognise them, and one little supporting message about when they were established and how it's famous. There's things to reassure and saying this is a known pizza brand, you're okay. But basically, it's about that value message, one value message. So if you're going to do this for awareness raising, keep it related to the needs of your key market, make it noticeable, and stick to one clear message. So then we think about activities that are about building interest. And again, the same challenge, list 3 ways you could generate interest or drive involvement and engagement, not just noticing your business exists, but become more interested in it. Not necessarily immediately getting them to buy, but just making them think or feel good about your business. Think about one bigger idea, something you can do longer term, and one, again, least, that you can start soon, quickly and cheaply. So something bigger to create interest might involve, just as an example, something, a Facebook or Instagram marketing campaign around something that you're doing. If you do it, all those things I talked about before apply, that the content should focus on your key values, not just doing something that looks cool. And it probably needs lots of good pictures. You might have to invest in creating a decent video or something to make it fun and exciting. It's got to be engaging. It's not really generating interest if you're just talking about a regular 2% discount that you offer every second week. That just starts to lose you followers on Facebook. So it's one of those things that's, if you do it, it's not as simple as you think. Put someone in charge and think about how you get content that really suits that campaign, whatever it is, and make sure it's really clear in that campaign what I have to do to take advantage of your offer, a call to action of some sort. But you can also do smaller stuff and start with those. Simple as showing accomplishments. Yeah, so if you've got on your website or in your premises, have you got certificates showing quality, good reviews? Have you got references from customers that were satisfied, testimonials? If you do have them, get good copies, get permissions to use them, and display them prominently or on your website. But remove them when they get old and outdated. There's nothing worse than that newspaper article saying you're absolutely wonderful, which is 5 years old. It makes it sound like you haven't done anything since. Okay, then sit down and try and think about 3 things that you could do. You've got people interested, they know about your business, get them to doing interest sales. And again, try and have one bigger idea and one you can start soon, quickly and cheaply, yeah? Now, when you're thinking that, the absolute obvious that everyone thinks about is discounts and price cuts, and that's particularly tempting in this day and age, in this time when people are worried about price and economizing. There are a couple of traps with doing discounts. First, it's really important to avoid discounts and price cuts for people who would buy anyway. So if you just make them general, a lot of your sales will just go to people who would be coming into your shop or visiting your website anyway. So try and relate your discounts to something that you want from your Maria or Marcus, or something that they need. So give them discounts for extra business, or volume of business, or special prices for those customers that really help. So if you're selling baby clothes, 10% off for those first-time mothers to get them interested, or whatever. Or for the obvious period when demand is low in the off-season. But the second trap is to just do these so regularly. You all know the stores, you all know those stores that you think, I won't bother getting the promotion now because they'll probably have another one in 6 months, or I won't bother buying it full price because they'll have one in a day or the next week or whatever. Customers will just wait for the sale. So if you're going to do these, try and make them special. I know it's tempting to try and generate cash flow by these, but think about Maria and Marcus and how they shop. Another simple kind of conversion activity to think about is customer referral programs. Now, you've seen these. If you've got a good database of your customers, these work particularly well if you can find out who the good customers are and encourage them to refer others. And look, these days, people want to help small and medium businesses, so it can be as simple as just asking people to refer others. They'll often know people with similar needs. But it's even better if you can give them some kind of incentive. So like this gym program, that you get a special deal on your first session if you refer somebody, and that customer also gets a reward. So it sounds really good, and you may have got 2 or 3 customers out of it, which may well be worth the cut price if you work it all out. Similarly, special offers and giveaways. Now you know all about these, but they're a bit different from discounts. The idea is to give some customers something extra and encourage and contact and loyalty. So that's why I think they're just a little bit better than just doing discounts. They help you avoid big cash outlays. So they might vary from free consultation for new clients, or running a training workshop for them, or maybe you get a little bit extra of the product if you buy it in a particular month, or whatever. It's thinking creatively about the kind of offers and giveaways that you could create that give customers something extra and encourage them to contact you and be loyal. So if you're giving just a simple 20% discount, it doesn't necessarily encourage loyalty, because I kind of expect that from every store. So there you go. Think about those as well as a conversion activity. What can you do more creatively in the offers and giveaways space? Finally, I want to remind you of this sort of oldest of marketing tips. This may seem so boring and so cliched, and I've told you before to avoid cliches, but honestly, this one works. It's one of the oldest and most successful techniques in marketing. The sale ends tomorrow. Get in now. Hurry, limited availability. Or the first 100 buyers get a prize. It does encourage action, as long as you don't do it every time and too often. Obviously, the kind of store that does sales every 5 minutes, no one believes you. But if you can make it sound genuine, this is a really important tactic. A really simple reminder, and I hope this doesn't sound too obvious, but you've got to promote your promos. It's no good just giving people a discount or whatever else you do. If you're doing these conversion tactics, you've got to make sure that people know about them, whether you're using your website or social media or, just a big sign outside your store. So as well as thinking about what your promo is and going to be, or what your discount is going to be, or what your giveaway is going to be, think about, how do I make sure that people know it's around? Okay. And I guess that's marketing lesson number 9. Look, it'll really help if you design your initiatives around that 3 hits principle, trying to think about what you can do to build awareness, attract interest, and convert to purchase. Put some effort into thinking in that sort of way about your app marketing activities. And that's why I really want you to do that exercise. I just remind you, try and do those challenges I've set you about how to build awareness, how to generate interest, and how to turn involvement. Those idea of putting 3 things down under each category, 1 big and 1 little, things you can do fast and things you need to put longer investment into or whatever. Just do it. It'll really help. I honestly mean it. Okay? Okay, so maybe you should pause the video there, go away and do that exercise and come back tomorrow. But then I want you to just give me that old rating thing. How do you find your ideas to generate awareness, interest, and purchase? If you found that a hard exercise, then it's time to talk a bit more to your customers, to other people, your staff, and try and get some ideas to help you move along to those things, because it will really help if you can set some things on those ideas. Just observing your customers, we've said earlier, might help. So, keep going. If you think you're doing really good on those things, maybe get someone else to give you some independent feedback to make sure you're right. Okay, thanks. Okay, look, I realise that in this session I've gone on about some very nitty-gritty stuff, but, bluntly, as I've said right at the beginning of all these sessions, being a marketer isn't just about having the big fancy idea. It's about how you do some of this nitty-gritty stuff on an ongoing basis. So now you've thought about what the 3 hits are and you've got some ideas about different ways to hit your customers. Let's go on and say, what do I need to do to have an ongoing plan and a way of acting to make this work? And that's the last of these sessions. It's a much shorter one than this one, you'll be pleased to see. And yeah, I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.